president had given to some of the CSs, including Alice Wahome for her sterling job, Juguna Ndungu, Aisha Juma, Florence Bore as well. They were awarded with the Order of Golden Hat for their distinguished services, which really flies in the face of what also we had previously as a survey done by one of the leading polling firms here in the country. And of course, they were rated. Some of them, they were at the rock bottom, but now they've been awarded. And this is the question we're asking, how come also? Since Honorable Mugatana is saying she's done a sterling job, she's not among the distinguished, CSs with her services.
My input there is that, first of all, the president does not act on his own when he's making these awards. There's been a very great improvement in terms of who gets awarded national honors. There was a time where immediately you are appointed a cabinet minister, you get automatic EGH. Immediately you are appointed an assistant minister, you get automatic MGH. But it has since evolved that Kenyans nowadays, suggestions are made, who you think should be awarded national honors. Even Parliament is asked to send its, I know that like in the Senate, they send their names, National Parliament sends their names, institutions sends their names of who should be awarded which national honors. So when those requests come, the committee sits, and after they agree, the president now acts. Now, it doesn't mean that that I have awarded 2 today. It means that the others are not worthy. It just means that maybe their time has not reached, or maybe the list is being processed still. So I honestly believe that in the course of time, our other ministers who are doing a good job, I believe, will also make the list. Aside from that, polling agencies, whenever they take these opinion polls on which minister is performing, which one is not performing, the fact that you are asking people, what do you think? Because that's the question. Who do you think is doing his job? Now, if you are doing your job very well, but you are not in the media, then you are not working, okay? So there could be ministers who are performing well, but they are not in the media. So if you ask an ordinary mwananchi, who do you think is doing very well? They will tell you certain ministers who are, by virtue of their dockets, they must be on the media all the time, for good reasons or for wrong reasons, for popular reasons or for unpopular reasons. So because of that, I don't think the polling by wananchi is a very reliable way of actually measuring which minister is performing.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. But I think it's also important. While I agree with him, because wananchi will be more perception, what they think, but I think we have seen ministers and PSs signing performance contracts. How I wish we were being told these are the results of the signing performance contract for either a quarter or a half year or an annual report, and based on that, so that the list is made public. And then we can see these CSEs at the top there. Otherwise, when that information is not shared, then mwananchi will always imagine things are not being done correctly. And that's why we're talking about objective assessment. Because ministers do sign performance contracts together with their PSCs, that document should be made public. We have our whole ministry headed by a CS courier, which is taking care of that.
So we see a discrepancy between the pollings and also what
so
the
that
performance
people can compare.
contract.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because courier should be releasing those results, telling the president, now I've evaluated all your PSCs and ministers, and these are the results of evaluation. Now, based on that evaluation, then the president will be saying, I want now to award so and so. Because from this evaluation,
or I can take a reshuffle for the ministries instead of awarding.
That now would be more structured where things are just done and no information shared. I think I thought we said we want to run an open government.
What basis do we use as a metrics to actually measure? Because if we take Alice Wahome and there was a recent reshuffle, how long has she been in that particular ministry to do a sterling? I'm not saying she's not really done a sterling job. I mean, I'm just going with that particular word. But then what are the metrics that we use to measure, given that time? Or is it just the ministry itself, or it's the person herself?
So I think those are very good questions. and there is a committee on national honors and awards.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, it is from where I sit, if people are raising this issue, Dr. Makau here is oversighting government. He should be in a position now to file a question, demand a statement. What is the criteria? What do we want to know? But because from my side, on the side of government, I'm satisfied that the committee has done its work. They have made their recommendations, and that recommendation, the president has acted on it.
So what will be the point of entry? Or we can say this is a very inconsequential issue.
It is not. You see, if it is affecting the way the national government is operating, I think they can. He has the power, Dr. Makau, to summon Makale, sorry, to summon the people, the committee into the house and to give a proper account. That's why they are there, the opposition.
That is doable.
Yeah.
Withdraw a question.
Yeah.
You can question the criteria used to determine.
Absolutely.
But the question would be, from where we sit, is this such a fundamental issue that we need to waste time on it, parliamentary time on it? Because it's their cabinet, they can award whoever they want to. But at the end of the day, what is critical? And I think this should go to hold the leaders. Our services, the people who enjoy them, is Kenyans. If you want to know the best now, whether I perform as Makali Mul, member of parliament for Kitui Central, my performance should be, the people who should say, I'm either performing or not, is the people who I serve. People who are enjoying the results of my performance. But you know when now, you don't, because what they have said is, we have a whole CS who should be doing 1, 2, 3, and from our assessment as Kenyans, we think he's not doing his work. Who would be the best person to assess that? Is it the public, or is it a ministry which is now part of the system? And to me, I think from where I sit, before I go to the political life, I'm a monitoring and evaluation specialist. That's my other than being an economist. I've narrowed to that small area of monitoring and evaluation. And I can tell you for sure, anything which is external is always the best, not internal. What they are giving us is internal. The external one is Kenya saying, I live in Garisen, where he comes from, and I'm not feeling this minister.
Right.
I live in Kakamega, and I'm not feeling this minister in terms of services. That's the best evaluation.
So, you know, in a country where we are proposing and pushing the envelope for celebrating meritocracy, which is, you know, a very lonely world when it comes to doling out jobs, you know, according to merits, are we also encouraging mediocrity? With this, of course, awards at the end of the day, that would be another very pivotal question.
It would be.
And then again, when we have a system now checking itself, how sure are we that, as you say, it's giving an unbiased view of its own system? For instance, then, I don't know, we have the PS who is supposed to be monitoring this particular performance contracts, who also
He's supposed himself to be.
Yes, that's the question. So how does it happen at the end of the day? How then do we also gauge his performance vis-a-vis him actually now, gauging other people's or other cabinet secretaries' performance?
From where I sit, that the cabinet secretary in charge of public service, he is the one who is the first person, the first hand. That ministry is the first hand person to arrange this performance contracting in public service in general. And then they are the ones who have those experts of monitoring and evaluation. And they are the ones who send the initial reports in terms of who is performing, who is not performing, according to the performance contract that you have signed. So from where I sit, their report should be extremely objective because it is external. Let's say Ministry of Water, for example. The Ministry of Public Service is external to the Ministry of Water. So in terms of assessing the monitoring and evaluation and whatever, they are external to that ministry because these people are not domiciled in that ministry. So they should be able to say, your performance contract on 1, 2, 3, 4, you've done 50%. On 1, 2, 3, 4, you've done 30%, and so on. And therefore, on the whole, this is where you are. You are just 30%. So to say the least, for all the government ministries, it is external. But now for assessing itself, now that is where there's a question mark. But I know there is also a monitoring and evaluation unit within State House itself. So I believe that particular ministry then can be evaluated by that unit within State House, which should be able to now tell us, we have evaluated the evaluator, and the evaluator himself is also doing 20%. so I think the systems are there. Yes, the systems are there, but how efficient they are is also something else. It's a different question altogether, because, you know, in some countries, you sign the performance contract plus the resignation letter. Okay, so at the end of the year, you're supposed to do maybe 50,000 kilometers of roads, you know. You haven't done, but your resignation is here. So when we are doing the evaluation, mimi nakwambia we nenda, asante, I accept your resignation humbly. Thank you for your great public service. We look for somebody else. But in this country, they don't sign the resignation letters. So it becomes a bit problematic.
Thank you. I wanted just to latch back on the bit of the expenditure that we were talking about, because I can see the MPs have made a retreat as well. And we have the national designated the Legislative Council, the the National Assembly. Regarding the CSs, the court made it unconstitutional, the 50 CSs. Now we had the cap at 22.
At 22.
Now the MPs are saying we don't even need that particular 22. The president, you have the liberty to, you know, appoint as many CSs as you want. What does that mean?
You know...
and what happened to the 22?
What happened? This committee is called the JILAC, Committee on Justice and
Legal Affairs.
Yes, committee, JILAC, which is chaired by the MP, I think, Tharakanithi. I think Tharaka, Moraguri. So the initial report was indicating that they have capped it at 22, and they'd even given the necessary qualifications for you to be appointed CAS. And as a House, you have not yet debated that report. It's one of the scheduled motions to be debated. So I think what has happened, maybe there was appeal from the executive that reconsider this matter even before it goes to the House. Because as a House, we've not yet. We only got the committee report, and then it was supposed to be scheduled so that we discuss it and then pass it. Unless it was done without mind. At times, you know, we might not also be there at times, but I've been there the whole of last week, and I can't remember us discussing that. So I think it's the committee which has now kind of amended their report before it even came to the House. And you know, for this particular bill, there was also a minority report, which was done by Dr. Otiende, where he was saying, even before we discuss the numbers and the qualifications, the thing is unconstitutional. And you know, when he says that, then when we'll be debating as House, that will be the starting point. Because if he's
given a chance to debate,
if we'll be given a chance. Because if it is unconstitutional, then it can't even be discussed. It will mean then you have to withdraw the bill. So the minority report, I hope we'll get a chance to discuss this minority report as our entry point, so that we say, we can determine, is this unconstitutional? And then if we confirm, then the bill should be withdrawn. If then that motion of being unconstitutional is lost, then it means then the House has to debate the bill together with the committee report. And I think what they are doing, they are just giving the president an open check that now we make this position to be part of the civil service structure, and depending on the political climate at that particular time, you can appoint as many as possible. And I see a situation where politicians, being included under him, we are now being selfish, because you realize these positions are normally given to people who have lost elections to accommodate them, so that they don't feel like it's actually giving the president a bigger room to accommodate more of the political losers who might have supported him. And I think that the number 22 might be very restrictive, bearing in mind he had appointed 50. So I'm imagining if you give 22, you have 28, who you might not be able to account for. A few have been pushed to the ambassador positions if you have been following what is happening. But there's still a big number who are still held there. They were sworn in.
Yeah.
So they are still, they still claim to be cash,
Yeah.
but they are not earning a salary.
Even in public meetings, they call themselves.
Even in public meetings, they call themselves cash.
But that is unconstitutional.
So what is going to happen is the debate.
Well, it's been declared unconstitutional.
No.
So don't be surprised
with
that
any trappings that goes with it. Yeah, even taking the government's tea and bread at the end of the day is unconstitutional.
No. Let us discuss that issue.
So don't be surprised that there could have been some appeal from the executive on the numbers.
So the argument is, as we can see it from the dailies, that the capping of the 22 will hinder the executive from adequate delivery of its key programs.
Not programs, from accommodating the
I'm just reading what the dailies is saying, yeah.
Yes, nothing like programs. This is just to accommodate more colleagues to the government.
This is all for political expediency.
Yes, exactly.
We want to see the spirit of when we're talking about austerity measures at the end of the day and what is the reality on the ground.
So can I address that issue? First of all, what the court said, it is not that the entire position is unconstitutional. No. What the court said was the mode of recruitment for the position of Chief Administrative Secretary was unconstitutional. In fact, there was no provision of the law for the method under which these positions of CAS were to be filled. That's what the court said. It is completed. In fact, there was no process. There was no meritocracy. There were no advertisements. The process wasn't followed, okay? That's what was declared unconstitutional, not the position itself. Now, this bill is seeking to make that position part of the public service, okay? And when it is made part of the public service, it is not unconstitutional. You know the way media tries to interpret matters, just like the finance bill. When the court said you have, in fact, this section 80 is not in accordance with the Constitution. You need to create a proper legal framework for the affordable housing bill. What the media ran with the headline was the whole thing is unconstitutional. And yet what the court said was that you cannot create this levy within the finance bill, okay? That is wrong, you see? So it's the same thing now, that the CAS position, the process you use to employ these people is wrong. So you need to go and do it properly. And what the members of parliament have started is a process to start it normally. Now, what Dr. Otende Omolo is doing, he is still of the opinion, and you know it's minority opinion. He's of the opinion that it is unconstitutional. It's okay. You get political points because Kenyans believe it is unconstitutional and so on. You get the populism, but in actual fact, he knows, and we know, that it was the process, not the position itself. In fact, that position now it's being created within the public service. Now, I wanted to say one other thing about it. I have had the fortune of serving in the government as an assistant minister, which is similar to the CAS.
Before you go there, because I know you're heading there.
Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point, and then we can do that assessment. If you are a Minister of Foreign Affairs, like the way Mudavadi is now, in protocol, there are levels of engagement. There is the ambassadorial engagement, then there is the ministerial engagement, then there is the presidential engagement. Now, before you move through this, you can't, let's say it's a treaty, it cannot reach the president without having passed all these levels. It starts with negotiations in the ministry. Let's say it's a bilateral, it's a trade agreement, bilateral, between Kenya and another country. It is the officers of the trade, they start, ambassadors then get involved, PSAs come in, ministers come in, and then it goes to the president. Now, there are hundreds of these things on the table. And then there are meetings which are ministerial level, many of them. So the truth of the matter, me I'm saying now, as a person who has been there, the truth of the matter, Mudavadi cannot attend to all this. It's not possible, okay? It's just not possible. The trade minister cannot handle those things. It's not possible, okay? So if you have somebody at the level of ministerial, in fact, I remember in our time, Honorable Etangula was the Minister for Foreign Affairs, and I was there as a, it was who? It was not...
Onyonga?
It was not Onyonka.
Onyonga at one point also served there.
No, we were two of us. I'm not remembering the other guy, with Wetangula as a foreign minister. Now, we were spread, because even within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you'll find there is directorate in charge of Africa, directorate for Asia, directorate for North America, directorate for Eastern Europe, and so on, because we have massive engagements. So what happens is the country pays. If you don't attend meetings, you are left out. Who is not there is not there. You cannot sign the documents, you are left out. You cannot do this, you are left out. So the reality of the matter, there are some ministries. Me, I can speak for foreign affairs. I have also worked in the office of the president. There are some ministries that at ministerial engagement, one person cannot do it. That is the reality of the matter. However, if Kenyans believe that we are saving, you see what happens is, let the thing run. When the consequences start coming, then we will adjust at that point. But for now, I can tell you, you are being left behind. Uganda has several, they call them ministers of state, several ministers of state within a ministry, so that they're able to deal with matters.
Minister of State, but also they are members of parliament, aren't they?
Yeah, but they have a huge parliament, we don't. And
That's
our
what I'm saying.
system is different from theirs.
Diametrically different. But the question is also on the diplomatic protocol.
Yeah.
Then what is the role of the ambassador? Does he not have the remit of signing these bilateral agreements?
No.
It's not allowed?
No. At ministerial level, the ambassador will not sign. It's not allowed. Even ministerial level meetings, ambassadors don't attend. And even if they attend, they cannot commit. You see. It's just like, in fact, like if you go higher at presidential level, you can't send a minister. Okay, it has to be the president. At the summit level, it has to be a president. Even prime ministers are not allowed. There's a level which is only heads of states, so prime minister will not go. There's a level it's heads of government. When it's heads of government, it means even if you are not a president, but you are a head of government, then you can sit with the presidents. So in some ministries, I'm making this point that we end up losing. In some ministries, I agree, because of those austerity measures and so on, then we can deal maybe with one or none at all. I agree there.
All right, but we had a minister without portfolio.
Yes.
What will be the role of the minister without portfolio at the end of the day when we have such situations? Maybe your cabinet secretary is so strained. Can the minister without portfolio step in? Or that particular function, what was it meant to purpose at the end of the day? Was it just also for political expediency? Can it be considered with this current administration? We want just to know. These are critical questions we should ask.
I agree.
Maybe he should be now the roving minister.
All over the place.
Yeah, who should be all over the place. The roving minister who is stepping in.
Maybe the policy answers
instead of coming with the CSs,
as Mugatana answers that question about the minister without portfolio, I think the other issue is Kenyans, in their own wisdom, decided that they didn't want the position of assistant minister. And I don't think we have had any time to review our constitution and ask them, do you still think that the position of this obtained, so should we do away with it? Because Kenya said we don't want assistant minister, we want a minister and a PS, and have enhanced roles for the two levels. Now, I think what Dr. Otiende is saying is now, this is a way of bringing the assistant minister through the back door. And I think that's where the issue of it being a constitution comes in. So maybe Mugatana could explain to us Are we saying Kenyans were wrong, or are we saying it's time we now did a proper review of our constitution and see what is working and what is not working?
But maybe you know what was the background when we were forming that constitution. Yes. We had 44 ministers. You know, that expanded executive. We had, I don't know how many assistant ministers. One ministry has 3, 4, 3, 2, 3. It was, so Kenyans were so angry at that time, but it was brought because of a unity government. But Kenyans were so angry. Everybody's a minister.
But in terms of expenditure,
it's also ballooned.
No.
You know,
were they drawing salary as ministers, aside from as a member of parliament, or it was just emoluments that really counts?
Additional allowances.
No. It was just additional allowances.
No. You have, you know.
You are a minister.
Yes.
But then,
so you have a salary for that. There's a responsibility allowance, a salary. You have security. You have.
No. Is it a responsibility allowance or salary?
You have a salary. You know, you have a salary.
Or are you still not earning parliamentary salary also?
Yes.
So are you on 2 salaries or 1 salary?
Were you on 2 salaries?
You have, the minister would, I used to get, you know, you get 2 payments. Yeah. You have the NINI plus something else on top. You are definitely
not the NINI. You need to be very categorical. You know, now you're playing footsie with, I need to know.
Playing footsie.
Were there any 2 salaries at
you get
the given time?
It's just a matter of you get your salary from parliament and
there's the allowances that really comes with the ministerial and emoluments that really comes with that particular seat. So we need to be very categorical.
I remember there's a pay slip for the one for the MP. But there's also a package, a package for the minister,
which is diametrically different from salary.
There was a package. I can't remember whether I was getting 2 salaries, but what I know, it's been a long time. But I can tell you, no,
from the history. I remember even my first salary, surely, and I will know any other. You can't confuse these things.
Of course, because you don't depend on the salaries. You know, when you are in these positions, the salary, you even don't see the slip because you commit them to loans and mortgages. You never see anything.
So the more you should know actually how your salary is, where your source of income is coming.
Your source of income will be business. You'll be running your other things. So anyway, to the point is that the whole thing ballooned. And when we were making that constitution, that is where people said, no, let us cap it at 22 ministers. We don't need any more. And that was agreed because both sides, everyone was seeing the reaction of the public. And then the argument came, do we need assistant ministers? In fact, this was, let's get rid of all of them. But in reality, if they had taken, those were political decisions, by the way, even the capping, they were not advised by the Public Service Commission. But if the Public Service Commission expert advice was given, they would have recommended at least 1, assistant minister in some ministries, okay? Or maybe a room for 22, and they don't have to come from every ministry. Maybe some ministry can be given to, some other ministries can do with just a minister and a PS, But some ministries, they need maybe support for them to deliver. So if Public Service Commission is to give you an honest, unbiased opinion, they will tell you some ministries support. Some, I agree. Some ministries need support, some they don't. And I am of that opinion that the reaction, that constitution was from a background. The reaction of the people was extreme, It went too much on this other side. Just like the way we removed all the powers from the presidency when we said you can't appoint judges, you can't appoint this, you have to bring your ministers to parliament, you have to do this and that and that. It was also from a background, that the presidency was overbearing, the president was overpowerful, so we need to cut. It was from a background. But as we go, people are saying maybe we need to have a stronger president for us to make things happen. Because you remember Uhuru was saying, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to hang these people on I can't, because the Constitution does not give me that power. What was he saying? He was saying, this president is not the same like the old president. And we are also saying that there was overreaction from where we were coming from. And now the numbers of ministers, there was overreaction from where we were coming from. Even if we don't review it now, when people maybe sit down to restructure, even in future, and they get input from, experts, there will be need for some ministries to have support. Some ministries may not need. So maybe we can, I would have, gone with the earlier decision of the members of Parliament, the earlier report, that they stick with 22, but that 22 is not automatic that every minister gets. Some ministries may need 2, some ministries may need 1, some ministers, so the president is not obligated to appoint all of them to a particular, to attach, It should be an executive decision, what he thinks the level of work is required for, but support they require. That is for sure, support they require.
Some ministry.
For some ministries.
For some ministries.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear from, okay, so finally, if they've lifted this particular cap, it means the threshold also can go beyond 50? That is what I don't really follow.
No,
what does it really mean?
It means the committee is proposing that Parliament gives the presidency an open check in terms of the numbers.
Which is what?
Which means is for the president to decide how many assistant ministers do I want to give to each ministry. So if he has 22 ministries...
But what numbers are we working with?
No, it means you don't have a fixed number. It means the BAL, that will depend on the government in power.
Priorities.
Basically, they will sit and say, we want this minister here, one minister, assistant minister here, and more so it will depend on how many people out there.
So we could have...
applying a lot of... Even 100.
Even 100, even 200.
Even have 100.
That is the carte blanche of the president.
That's what the committee is saying. They're saying basically, we give you an open check, you can appoint 100, you can appoint even 2, you can even appoint 3.
Yeah,
so it will basically depend on the presidency, what they decide, which is very bad for this country.
So I'm asking,
when we are all crying that we don't have enough resources.
But how can such a a legislation even sail through Parliament at the end of the day?
That's what I'm saying. The committee will be presented to Parliament. I'm sure we will debate. And as you should not be surprised.
That's what I'm saying. You've been also decrying the fact that you not have a conducive environment to debate.
Yeah, to debate.
Yeah, so how sure are you that this also will just see the light of day, sail through very effortlessly without any input of debate in the House at the end of the day?
That's what I'm saying.
I see if they try to enact without some form of capping, I see the matter ending up in court again. So I see it will end up in court, and then the whole thing will be hanging again. So I see a situation where
we have a problem.
There will be a negotiation. I see a situation where there will be a negotiation so that the eventual product will be carrying,
a number,
yes, some numbers. Because I don't see it being thrown open like that. I see if they leave it like that, it's okay, you have the numbers, you pass it, then you land in court, and nothing will be
So
done.
is the president being set up with this? From
maybe
your assessment?
another case of round, so that these guys will never step in office
There's
properly.
a problem with the sort of the legislative process that we have also with it. This particular, is it the 13th...
basically,
Parliament.
we've said
what sort of these legislations that will just waste your time at the end of the day, and you know very well you're going to shoot it down because this has been the debate. 50 has been more. So if you open a whole wiggle room for the president to swing his cut, it doesn't make any lick of sense.
I fully agree with you on that. I believe there are some legislation we can push through. But there are some legislation that we should, even if the process takes long, we should have as much consensus as possible. A much, bringing together of people, talking. So what is your concern? What is your concern? Of course, the one of Atienda Omolo, that one is too extreme. It means he doesn't want anything to be done.
Yeah, to be done.
Okay? But there are those who say, no, we should just have 10 maximum. There are those who say, no, let's have 20.
But we're coming from the premise of the Constitution, what it has actually envisioned, because there was a rhyme and reason why that particular position was actually scrapped from the Constitution.
And this matter will not come to Senate.
It's unlikely.
It's not a Senate matter. Not a Senate because they might do the counties.
Yeah.
So it will be only the National Assembly, and once we make a decision, then it will be forwarded to the President to sign it.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's how we are
to
debate.
It is not assistant ministers they are creating. They are creating chief and they are in the Public Service Commission.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't matter.
it matters.
Because that's
It
the whole
matters.
issue. That first of all, why were they also in domicile in these ministries as assistants? Because this is just a matter of semantics that you're telling us. It's just a matter of semantics, but at the end of the day, it is what it is.
So
We can look at
lawyers,
this just
lawyers live on semantics. When they say the process is wrong and it's unconstitutional, it means the process. It doesn't mean the position, okay? The position is not unconstitutional. It is the process of appointing. So if we correct that position by bringing legislation, and that legislation is domiciled within the public service can recruit.
But let me ask you a question. If I give you this constitution, can you show me where the CS's position was created? This was just an act that was created on the side.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
But I'm just...
Even that particular act...
I think about what
I'm trying to tell you,
saying.
Public Service Commission is an independent
that's why he has challenges.
constitutional
Yes.
body that can create any position, okay? Now, this position is being created through the Public Service Commission.
But normally what would happen,
Which is
Senator
different.
Mugatana,
Yes.
this constitution
Yeah.
is true, it gives power to the Public Service Commission
Yeah.
to create positions.
Correct.
But before a position is created, there's a lot of work which goes beyond the scenes. First of all, you must identify the need for that position.
You're right.
You must do job analysis.
Right?
There has to be public participation.
There must be public participation. Then, so all this process, has it been done for this position? And if so, we would be asking for a report from the Public Service Commission to say we've looked at this position, it's necessary in our structure, and this will be the roles. You know, it is Parliament leading this process, not Parliament.
Because you're drawing from the exchequer.
Mheshimiwa, what I will challenge you,
Yes.
the Public Service Commission, you don't micromanage it. Like if they say they want lab technicians, does it go to public participation? Does it go to all those processes? It does not, because it's an independent body. Once they say that this is a required position, that position, what will be required of them then is
Yes.
to advertise so that there is meritocracy, there is fairness, there is gender balance, there is people living with disabilities, all are given a fair chance. But to say that they need a report for them to, that is now micromanaging their business.
But are you saying
It's
that they have not been, because even in the past, I remember the other time the bar, they advertised for some positions, then later they to change the advert and extended the time. Which means there must be also some external hand which was controlling them from somewhere. So to me, I think the whole issue is, at the end of the day, this position is more of a political position than a technical position. And it's good we move with it, but the thing is, it will be important we agree on the numbers.
I agree.
That is very important.
I agree.
Unless we do that, what will happen? And I think that's where the committee are not getting it. They are not being strategic.
Yeah.
What will happen? We'll pass this law because of the numbers. They will come and vote and they pass the law, but somebody will go to court, and these guys will never join this office of cash officially, because it will be another circle now of court cases. 5 years will end, we'll have no cash in this 5 years. Of Kenya Kwanza.
Then it really beats the purpose of, the creation of these offices. If there was no legal, leeway that is given by the Constitution for these particular offices, but we use other instruments so that we may sort of legalize it. We use the Public Service Commission, we call it a different name so that it's been given that particular powers, then it means the Constitution will just be, sort of a tattered band-aid that is, it doesn't hold any sacrosanct veracity that we can, abide by the Constitution. Because at the end of the day, you see there's no CSS, but you'll find a way a jiggery-pokery way, using just the semantics, as you say, as lawyers.
That
to create these positions.
You see, that argument can be made for those who are opposing that position. And it's a strong argument. But is it true that all positions are mentioned in the Constitution? Not true.
No, not true.
It's not true. So you can actually create many, many positions through the Public Service Commission. You can, and it is constitutional. So that notion that just because these were...
That's what I'm saying. Where is the threshold? Even within the Public Service Commission, that you can create these so many jobs, and some of them they can just sail through without any public participation? Because at the end of the day, I am the Mwananchi who will be paying this CSS. That's our taxpayers' money.
You see,
and if, yes,
the only thing, Dibal, that is this is creating interest.
But the question
it's
is
because
again,
the names proposed are politicians. Let me tell you, if it was Professor so-and-so, Professor so-and-so, Doctor so, some unknown quantities, you know, who are named in the initial 50, nobody will be talking about it. But because it is politicians, there's an interest. And why? Because people say, okay, we rejected these people, why are they being brought back? And that is also an argument. You know, I agree, you know, and maybe it is time, maybe that can be explored, that people who have not been elected should not seek to join the public service any other way. But that is a different issue. That is a different, because then the questions will come, does it mean if I'm a lawyer and I tried standing for parliament and I lost, or I tried standing for governor and I lost, then I can't serve the public and I'm a qualified professional? You know, so it is just, let me just say, that thing against leaders who have lost elections, you know? And I think we need to, you know, change that attitude. My own appeal is that we should change that attitude. And, you know, also the people who are applying for these jobs, we don't have to work in public service. You can also go into the private sector, you know, and do your thing there. Either way, let's just accept we are all Kenyans. Let's not isolate these politicians. So for that reason, we don't want them to take over any position. Some of them are extremely competent people. Some of them were professors before they went into politics.
Yeah.
So let us, I appeal to the listeners, we change that attitude. And then if we are to judge people, let us judge on the merit that we need or we don't need the position of assistant ministers. We need 2, we need 20, we need 3, or we don't need them at all. But not to bring in that issue that, oh, these are politicians who didn't make it. I don't think that is a fair way. We are all Kenyans, and we all need to be given fair opportunities in this country.
I feel like I should latch on one more point that you actually projected on this forum, that, you know, the fact that we have some CSs who are still enjoying the trappings of the office, that is not really unconstitutional. But if the process is unconstitutional, how then are they enjoying the trappings of the office?
Some CSs are enjoying the trappings of the office?
Yes.
I think those allegations have been around. There have been even allegations that some CSs are being paid. When I'm telling you, if the opposition had that information, they would be in parliament today. They would be in court today. But if
they've not done their due diligence,
the
opposition has not done their due diligence.
What they've done, and I've also heard it, like Senator is saying, that they are not being paid the form where you have a pay slip and all that. But there is talk about the petty cash in the State House where you go and pick up.
No, the cars are being fueled.
Those are documentation.
Those are allegations.
Those are the documentation. You know, where you have no evidence, you can't go to court.
Move.
So
those
you're
are
done.
allegations.
So it's a matter of
their cars are being fueled. Which cars?
When Judge Mumbi declared that
government vehicles.
You as a governor and you've been found in propriety and the case is still in court, that even stepping in that office is not allowed. Isn't that applicable also to the CSs? If it has been declared the process, so say it was unconstitutional.
CSs are you saying that have been stepping in the office?
Well, we don't have to mention names. You know.
Some have been claiming they are working. I've interacted with quite a number who tell me I'm in office. I've been sworn in.
I don't know. I wish somebody would actually test those allegations by going to court, because in court it's evidence. It's not allegation.
It might be difficult to get it through court, I'm telling you, because there's no evidence. That's why you see at times we can only talk. But even them, they are saying it. They're saying I'm actually in office. So I don't know what it means being in office, just to sit and know thoroughly, oh, you're taking a tip.
I'll be remiss because
maybe that could be a point of interest just to pursue and see what is happening.
Fantastic. Today also is a big day, so I want just to hear from Honorable Makali before we wind up. the whole rigmarole, the process of the housing levy, from your own assessment, do you think you've gotten a fair share in the National Assembly, in the Senate as well, that the president has to assent it into law today?
No, you know,
Just
from the
briefly.
word go, from where I sit as a member of Azimio, and even at personal level, we did reject this proposal. And we gave alternatives in terms of what the new government needs to do. But democracy is very expensive. So, because people had to vote and we lost. So this law went to the Senate. The Senate actually was even better than us because they did some amendments.
A lot.
They did amendments. Some of the amendments, we were not able to agree with them. Just as we rejected from the word go, we were also not happy with the amendments. But what happened? The Kenya Kwanza side decided that because if they reject any of the amendments by the Senate, then it will mean you go for mediation.
Correct.
So what they did, they said the ones who could not agree with as National Assembly, their side, because as we had rejected everything, they said they are better living with the few they are not agreeing with by saying no amendments to the bill so that it goes for signing. So the truth of the matter is the bill is a better, you know, from our side is bad. But from Kenya Kwanza side is a better version of the bill because now they have brought on board the issues of the counties. Because we have always been saying housing is a devolved function. So what they have done, they have created what they are calling the county housing committee, I think, which will now be looking at the county level. The other thing they have also done, which I think is good from their side, is the issue of saying now there will be like an affirmative action where the lower level Kenyans can be given a share of the totality of the houses so that they don't, it's not free for all. So in that case, then you'll have houses which can be accessed by the middle level and the upper, but there's also a portion of them that must be accessed by the lower level, the lowest Kenyan. So in that case, then maybe they will waive the deposits so that they can get them. So to me, those are, but from the word go, this levy, we have said many times, we could still achieve the same outcome using different means which are not controversial, but nobody was able to listen to us. And since democracy demands that the majority have their way and the minority have their say, we have heard our say is properly documented in the Hansard, and then we just sit and watch what happens.
So, for most of the Senate, UDA voted against an amendment that was to cushion terminally ill farmers, those retiring within 5 years from affordable housing living. Right? Isn't that really sort of, should I say inconsiderate or insensitive?
No. The way that amendment was brought, it was really open-ended. And then when you try to even, examine the mover himself, it was more like a populist amendment. And like you say, it touches on some things like, emotions. But when you bring an amendment that is guaranteeing a certain, class, and yet there is already a provision, a general provision for waiving for those who can show that you don't have this amount of income. Maybe you are sick, maybe whatever the reason. It is already accommodated in the amendment that Mheshimiwa was talking about. That there is a class. If you can show that you cannot raise this deposit, then you will still be able to go into the program of affordable housing. In short, this affordable housing law, when it is assented to, will be a major milestone for this country in terms of housing, in terms of creating employment, and also in terms of us as a people. We are going back to our African culture. Long time ago, as a young man, you are not expected to stay in your father's house. At a certain age, you build your own Simba. You must migrate from the family house. So this is giving an opportunity for people, boda riders, people who are doing normal manual jobs, to actually actualize even our African customs. but in a modern way. Now you don't move to a house that is made of mud and roofs that are leaking, but you're moving to a decent house that has sanitation, electricity, and everything.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a major game changer.
Right, thank you. Your closing remarks? Even as you're flying out today, you're presenting us in the Pan-African Parliament?
My closing remark is that Kenyans listening to me, there's nothing good that comes without sacrifice. Our country was in a very bad position. We've made the correct investments and the payoffs are there. Fertilizers prices have gone down. Petrol prices have gone down. Food prices have gone down. Our dollar against the shilling has stabilized. I have just given you statistics that, in fact, our trade surplus in the continent of Africa, 164 billion.
Right, thank you.
We have taken the correct turn.
We need to wind up.
And I believe that the country is on the right direction.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Mokali, your closing remarks, please.
Yeah, very brief. From where we sit as a mayor, our main work is to point out where the challenges are. The Kenya Kwanza government, because they have the resources, they should be ready to fix the challenges we'll be pointing out, including doctor strike, including housing levy, where we are saying Kenyans are overtaxed and their payslips are going to negative. Where we are saying unemployment is a major issue in this country, people need to be employed.
Thank you.
Corruption, we can't close without mentioning corruption also.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. And that has been the standpoint of Dr. Makali, right? Employment is an issue, and also we have